everyone feels a bit drained by the time Friday rolls around, but could you be burning yourself out and not even knowing it?
Yeah. Mental burnouts are now so common, it's costing Aussie businesses big time. One recent report found companies lose more than $10 billion a year because overworked employees are actually less productive. Besides, burning out is never quite a good look, is it?
Aren't you going to break out? No, 2 more days of this, and you'll quit.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
That's me with the kids.
I'm glad you said that, because I was going to say that. But, all right, well, how do we avoid looking like that? Here to help us out is psychologist Shane Warren. Shane, Arnie's meltdown, that was a cracker. But, burnouts can be pretty dramatic. How bad are they for our overall mental health?
Look, they're huge, really, because one of the things with burning out is actually we're producing strong levels of stress in our body. So everything our body produces, we've got to get rid of somehow. And if you're not getting rid of it, it's not working well for you, so it's staying inside and causing chemical toxin build-up.
How do we know when we're burning out rather than just feeling a little bit tired? Apparently vivid dreams can be a telltale sign.
Yeah, that's a really good sign, because often when we're having a small nap, you're meant to actually just kind of relax the mind and go to sleep. But if you're going straight into what we call the REM stage of sleeping, which is where we're dreaming a lot, that can cause some great problems, and it shows to us that we're not getting rest, our body's overtired.
And another one of the signs is that you just forget the simple stuff. And is that just because your brain is overloaded and there's no more room?
Well, that's exactly what it is. We can only retain certain amounts of information in our brain at any one time. There's nothing more about that. That's a fact. Our brain is programmed to do that. We can keep about 3 to 5 things kind of at the forefront of the brain. Yes.
So it says as well, feeling more exhausted after exercise. Isn't that what exercise is all about?
Yeah, look, we have this kind of, funny kind of juxtaposition here, don't we, really? Because we do know if we're actually physically fit, we can cope with stress a lot better. We can actually deal with burnout better. But if we actually go into exercise when we're already stressed, our body actually is, in fact, in survival mode. So you're producing chemicals in the body to survive. So it's actually seeing the stress as more of an invader, more of an intruder onto our natural
So the recommendation there would be to rest. And what are you looking at me for? So the recommendation would be to rest through those periods if you're feeling stressed and not necessarily exercise as much, maybe some light walking.
That's right, gentle exercise, what we'd say. So a bit of yoga, a bit of Pilates, these things are about.
So, Shane, we're at work, right, one day, and you're at the end of your tether, and you're just going to turn into Cratsy McCracket. How do you pull yourself back? How do you just regather?
Look, there's a number of ways to sort of do it, isn't there? But real-time resilience is the key thing there, actually. Although we might want to reach across the table and slap someone, that's not a good idea. If the lawsuits around that one. But also, the reality is, it's about knowing the fact that certain ways we can behave at certain times.
Yeah.
So bring that to the forefront, be conscious of that, but look after yourself. Do a bit of psychological immunisation, really. So know that I'm pushing the boundary too much, know that I'm tired. So go and do some self-indulgent processes, get a facial, get a massage, do something like that as well.
Exercise is a thing for me.
Yeah,
if I've got to blow off some steam, you're probably the same, Chris. If I
Oh, you're putting it on.
I'm a bit
I'm so worried.
No, I am, sometimes.
And there are some people who, that's right, exercise is the thing that works for them. The majority of us can't all be built like you guys. Most of us are actually a bit lazy, that kind of stuff. That's the real human process.
Yeah.
So in the reality, what we'd say with that is, do incorporate exercise, a bit of a walk, a swim, something more gentle, something softer.
And not getting dolphins going,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, wicked.
And if everyone in the production meeting is doing what Arnie was just doing and saying, "Shut up," that means that the boss should shout everybody a massage.
That's exactly it.
Light exercise for you guys is the way forward. Shane, thank you very much. Okay, we're going to be right back with you in just a second.
Experience the difference.
Welcome back to the Daily Edition. Well, as more details emerge about the tragedy involving MH17, it's difficult to turn on a television at the moment and not see the shocking pictures of the crash site. But in situations like this, should parents be limiting their children's exposure to the media, or is it healthy for them to see and deal with grief? For more on this, we're joined by psychologist Shane Warren. Good to see you, Shane.
Yes.
This is a really difficult one, and it's certainly one that I know that lots of parents have faced over the weekend. what do we do? Do we limit their exposure? Do we talk to them before they see it? Often they catch something before we have a chance to talk to them about it.
Look, it's a little bit of both. I mean, depending on the age of your child, we don't want to overexpose a very young child to this kind of imagery, but we must talk about it. We must actually let them know what's going on and give them some guidance about how they can deal with it, because what we are teaching also in this process is actually empathy, to actually be able to connect to the misery and sadness that other people are suffering, and then they can actually understand that kind of perspective. Yeah.
Details-wise, do you omit details? Do you lie? Or do you just tell it like it is?
You know, honesty is the best policy, but controlled honesty. So really what, again, we're saying, it depends a little bit on the age of your child. For example, I have very young children. They're only 4.5 and 6. So the controlling information is important there, not exposing too much to the news and television. My older brother, for example, has teenage children, so they're seeing it in a different perspective, and they're getting more, I suppose, desire for more knowledge. We must talk about it. We must be honest about it.
Teenage children are obviously, they're going to be able to get a lot of information themselves. If we're looking at younger children, give us an example of how you have turned this with your own children, for example.
Yeah, look, I mean, we were in a situation where they saw it firsthand on the news in the morning, so we couldn't hide it from them anyway. And we also are a family who travel an awful lot, so they're very exposed to aeroplanes. In that context, we decided to sit down quite strongly and just talk about them, saying, look, something bad has happened, a very nasty thing has happened, and this happens in the world, guys. We need to be aware of that. We're lucky, we're a safe family, we're at home, so turning around to actually appreciate and respecting the value of our safe space in Sydney, so they can appreciate that again, and advise them that, look, you know, we're not going to control the situation in the life for you. You're going to see these things, you'll hear bad stuff. You need to ask Daddy if you have any questions, you need to talk about it with us. What I want to do is encourage my children to dialogue, because then I can direct the information in the way that I think is safe for them.
Shane, how do you express those feelings connected to grief for kids? So particularly if you have a little one who's very upset about what they've seen on TV this weekend.
That's right. Look, you know, children often express their grief quite strongly through either extreme anger or extreme sadness. So unnecessarily crying, even just things like, you know, the kind of, my brother punched me, that kind of stuff, which is not usual for that child. That's because they're actually feeling something they can't control. Allow them to express the emotions, very important there, and then actually comfort them at this time.
Can I just get you to be really specific for us?
Okay.
Do you say a plane has come down and everyone on board has, you know, sadly gone to heaven, or whatever belief system you might have in your house? Do you tell them how it's happened, that it's at the hands of somebody else? I mean, to what degree is it helpful to give detail?
Yeah, look, this is really one of those things we need to be quite specific for each individual case. In my household experience, we saw it, we heard the information about a plane being blown up. They were there. There was no way we could stop that information getting them, so we had to be quite honest and upfront about it. I don't know many other families who wouldn't have actually been exposed to that now, so yes, we do actually talk further about that. We talk about the fact that there is conflict in the world, and there's people who don't agree with people, and some people take that to extremes, and that's not a good thing. You know, we actually really disencourage that kind of perspective that it's okay to, you know, be mean and nasty to people. So we're using it as an option to demonstrate to our children that you will disagree with people, but that's not a reason to punch them, to blow them up, to do these kind of things. So that kind of specification.
And when it's too young to tell the kids, I tried to explain to my son, who's just turned 4, and although he's shown some interest in what I was saying to him, he didn't quite grasp it, and his attention could quite easily lead his way.
Yeah.
Have I done my job now by saying that to him, or do I really need to push this a little bit more?
No, I think you've addressed it in that kind of situation. Very young children will give us the signs that they might need to do it. I've used the example of, particularly if they're kind of expressing sadness or grief in some way that's unusual for them, that might suggest it's playing in the back of their head. You might want to open the dialogue a little bit more. But very young children, I'm saying, yeah, keep the television off, keep them away from it. Older kids, it's better to actually encourage the conversation. Don't let them build it up in their heads. If we ignore the conversation, we make it a message of this has to be brushed away under the carpet, we can't talk about this, and that's not a good thing in future life.
Generally, they'll tell you when they're ready to move on. They stop asking questions about your top tips. What would they be to deal with grief?
One of the things around that kind of stuff is that, you know, we need to be honest, keep it casual. You should encourage some conversation. That's what we really are saying. Brushing it on the carpet is too scary, okay? It makes it bigger. You know, don't give too much information, but then again, don't give too little. You've got to find that balance for your family and exposure those kids have. And it's good often to link it to their own experiences. So linking it in our context as well around situations when people pass over, how sad that is. There's other families in Australia and around the world who are feeling quite sad right now.
And I would also say keep your language simple.
Very much.
You know, keep it so they can understand it. Don't make it complex.
But the kids' experience is important for all kids. Keep it simple.
Shane, if you've got your own grief though, are you supposed to hide that from the kids?
No.
Is it okay for them to see you crying, to see that you're upset?
Spot on. It is actually okay with that, because one of our children will learn from observation. So they see their parents struggling with something and being upset by try something, but then still moving on. They're learning that that will happen to them, and that's okay.
Yeah, and that they're okay at the end of it.
That's it. Yeah.
Shane, terrific to talk to you. Such a difficult issue, and one that I know that we've all faced here at the desk over the weekend, and certainly people at home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Still to come on the Daily Edition.